Now, today is the 50th anniversary of a coup which saw a military government seize and hold power for 21 years in Brazil. Half a century later, the country is preparing for the World Cup, but the government has faced a public backlash about the cost of hosting the tournament, money which some Brazilians think would have been better spent on improving public services. Education was one of the issues which drove millions of Brazilians to take to the streets last June. A recent UNESCO report noted that most children in Brazil now go to primary school, but it also highlighted the weaknesses of the country's education system. 22% of pupils leave school unable to read or write. 39% have no knowledge of basic maths. Most middle-class families abandon the state system altogether, preferring to pay for what they hope will be a better education in the private sector. In the first of a series of reports from Brazil, Ritula Shah has been meeting parents, teachers and pupils in São Paulo, Brazil's biggest city.
Hello, Renata, how are you? So Laura and Alexandre. Renata Wasserman and her husband Marcelo are getting their two children, Laura and Alexandre, ready for school. They live in the suburb of Butantã, and unusually for a middle-class family, they're sending their children to the local state school, Amorim Lima.
Some friends were really scared about it. What are you doing to your children? But then once they see the school, because in this school you see lots of people like us. So this is a kind of a different school where really people meet.
What is it then that people are frightened of about state schools? Why would your friends sort of say, oh, you can't possibly send your children to a state school?
Usually the quality is bad. So we do have some problems there also, that the teachers don't show up just like this. They are allowed to miss 60 days per year of class, and they don't even have to warn before. But this school, it works in a different way. Like now the parents are improvising a group to try to substitute the teachers when they are on strike, because that's also a problem. And then the second thing that people are always scared of is violence. But then here, as I said, because this is a neighborhood where everybody's always together, then it's okay, so far.
In common with many state schools in Brazil, Amorim Lima runs a shift system. Renata's children go to school in the morning. Another set of children attend in the afternoon. So how long is the journey to school?
5 minutes by car.
It's not bad. And do the children at this age get homework?
They do, officially.
So can I ask, do you like homework?
Sí, no.
Some mixed results there, yes and no. 6:56, are we on time?
Yeah.
I'm a major late. So we've just got to school, to Amorim Lima. It's 7 o'clock, and let's go and have a look around.
They had two people in charge of the sports class, and then one of them, she managed to get a job at the university. So they don't know, actually. She may be teaching here still, but they are not sure.
So this is the kind of difficulty that schools face, with the
Yes.
teachers coming and going.
Coming and going all the time. We got an email yesterday, a mother who was coming in and counting, and it seems that the school is missing 7 teachers.
I love it to live here. Paraisópolis is so music, it's so animated, it's so alive.
Vagner de Alencar is a teacher, showing me around Paraisópolis, a favela or slum of around 100,000 people. This is where he used to live and work.
Violence, it's common in the most of the slums of Brazil. In Paraisópolis, we can describe some specific moments that the violence was strong.
That reputation for violent crime and drug running is a big obstacle for children growing up in a place like this. Though the danger isn't obvious when you walk about Paraisópolis in broad daylight, it seems quite friendly.
Rádio de Londres. Contando o dia a dia.
Walking up some stairs, and it actually looks very run down. The houses are basically, from a distance, they look like they're made of brick, but actually a lot of them are just bits of plywood knocked together, sort of a bit like a shed you might have in an allotment. The authorities are trying to improve education in Paraisópolis. The community has a brand new school with a swimming pool and football pitches. But they still don't have enough teachers. There are other problems too. Vagner says no one asks the local teenagers what they want to study at a higher level, and courses which may lead to local jobs, like beauty therapy, aren't taught at all.
There are some courses that are good, but I think it's needed. Dialogue with the young. What do you want to study? What do you want to do? Here in Paraisópolis, there are about 10 built salons, and there's no any course that offers this qualification.
So we've just come in off the street and we've come into a shoe shop and a clothes shop, and we've come to meet Misrael Severion da Silva, who's a teacher. So, Misrael, what are you doing in a shoe shop?
Então, esse aqui é bazar, certo? É bazar.
Misrael explains this is a thrift shop selling second-hand shoes and clothes. The aim is to raise money to pay for weekend tuition classes. He runs these to plug the gaps left by the poor teaching locally. Misrael says everyone is a volunteer. The only state help is some classroom space.
The students pretend to study, the teachers pretend to teach.
Vagner Alves teaches in another poor district of São Paulo. He warns of a collapse in the education system because of the long hours, low pay and low status of the job. And he says in many state schools there's also the fear of violence.
Olha, na minha escola eu diria que houve já.
In my school, like every public school, there have been problems with violence. As a result, many teachers in the Brazilian education system are overwhelmed with psychiatric problems, in particular depression.
It's perhaps not surprising then that Brazil faces an acute shortage of teachers. According to government figures, it needs almost 33,000 more. The numbers are especially low in maths and science. Rafael Alcalgipani of the FGV think tank and business school says the problem isn't a lack of money. Brazil's education budget's going up. But, he says, the entire system is badly managed.
Now in Brazil, what we are facing is that the public education is very poor, and I would say that the private education is very poor. I don't think Brazil has lack of money. There is a kind of a general incompetence in the Brazilian system in terms of how they manage public stuff, and I think the education is not an exception.
So you've got these, in general, low levels of achievement, low literacy levels. What are the economic consequences then?
So we have a very particular situation in Brazil. We are running well in terms of unemployment, okay? We don't have a lot of unemployment at the moment. But the companies, if you see all the big companies in Brazil, they have a huge shortage of talents. You need mining, for example, mining engineers, you don't find it. You need geologists, you don't find it. You need people who are properly educated to work in human resources, you don't find it. So the shortage of educated people in Brazil is very, very, very high. That would be the Achilles heel of the development of the Brazilian economy, because in the knowledge economy, we don't have enough talent people to assume the positions in the organizations.
Back in the favela of Paraisópolis, some kids still aspire to a very traditional Brazilian route to success. What's your favourite subject?
Matemática. Educação física.
Physical education, PE. You like a bit of sport. And do you know what you want to do when you grow up?
Eu quero ser jogador de futebol.
You want to be a football player? This is what Brazil is famous for.
Yes.
Ritula Shah there, reporting from São Paulo.